Hey, this is attorney Elizabeth Potts-Weinstein, and today we're going to talk about the spam, misleading, and even scam emails that you may get when you file a trademark application with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And I want you to be aware of these things and really communicate to you that you have to watch out because some of it's just plain old spam. That's not a big deal. You just delete it, whatever. But some of it is misleading communications and even scams that I want to make sure you all don't fall for. So let's go through what I received, actual emails that I received as someone who filed a trademark application on my own behalf. So for those of you who don't know and didn't see the other video, I filed the trademark application for my side gig business, Elizabeth Off-Grid. And in it, I didn't say that I was a lawyer. I just represented myself because I am representing myself for that. I just happen to be a lawyer, so it's not my law firm that's representing it. So it looks like I'm not a lawyer in the application. And one of the things that happens when you file a trademark application is whatever you put in the application besides your residency address is public. So your email is public, the email you use for communications, and then your mailing address is public, and then your name is public. All that stuff goes into a database that anybody can look at, anybody can download, and you will get for sure spam, email, and print mail. Right now, I'm just going over the emails, and these are the emails I actually received after I filed this application. So first category are things that are just kind of slightly annoying spam type emails, and these are typically lawyers who are trying to pitch you so they can represent you, as well as companies who want to do stuff for you. So let's go ahead and look at them. So the first one I got was from a law office that actually, it looks like it's actually from the assistant, but says it's from the lawyer who says that I'm not represented by a lawyer and that they're a lawyer and they've helped people. So, I mean, whatever. This is spam, but it's not like a big deal. It actually says that it's an attorney advertisement, so it might be compliant with the ethical rules. It's a whole nother thing. The next one I got was from another lawyer, another law firm, and this law firm talked about the various things that I was going to have to deal with as someone who is representing myself for the Patent and Trademark Office. And having a lawyer, is the best way to get a trademark through. So one of the things that some of these emails talk about is how if you represent yourself, it's statistically less likely you'll get a trademark than if you have a lawyer. That is totally true. If you pull the stats, it is a huge difference for those represented by a lawyer than representing themselves. For someone representing themselves who has never done a trademark before. I say that because there's really three categories. Someone who's literally never done a trademark, someone who's not a lawyer but does trademarks all the time, maybe as part of their job for a company, or they just have a bunch of trademarks, they've done it before, and then lawyers. The difference between someone who's done a trademark multiple times and a lawyer is not a huge difference. It's the person who's done their first trademark, because trademark stuff is just not intuitive. It's weird rules. And so the first time it is very easy to screw up. Once you've done it a couple of times, you kind of get how it works, then you may need a lawyer if something gets really complicated and you need legal briefs to be done. You need opposition, appeal, blah, 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 really complicated things done. But for your average one, you might be fine because you kind of get it at this point. The first one, it's a bit hard. So they have no cost consultation. I mean, that's fine. It's just spam, whatever. Then you'll get emails that are from these kind of services that are notifying you of things. So this one, they send me stuff for, even when I represent clients, I get stuff from Trademarks on Call constantly with all the deadlines. I think it's like they send you these deadline reminders and status reminders. It's not inherently a problem, but it makes it look like it's from the trademark office, and it's not. This is from a company. So I'm going to show you the difference between the stuff you get from a trademark office versus a company. So when you get something from the trademark office, it generally speaking, you get something from TEAS@uspto.gov. That is the trademark office's website, okay? And that email, and it looks like this, it's like formatted in this very particular font, and it will have links, like a gazillion different links going to all kinds of trademark things, trademark office things, and then it'll have information about your trademark. Sometimes it'll have an attachment. But a lot of times they are now sending you an email that has links to where you can download something. That tends to be what it is now. But the ones from services will be from some other email. So this is from Trademarks on Call, whatever that is. I think they says that they're a free trademark search engine. They create this like page for you. Assuming that they do is to make money, is that you can pay them to register your trademark and to do Trademark Watch, which is like a search for you. You know, they're not a law firm. They're not a substitute for a law firm. Trademarks on cause, no affiliation with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. When you get spam mail or emails for that matter, a lot of times there's somewhere in there is fine print that they are not affiliated with the United States Patent and Trademark Office or the state of California or the IRS or whatever. You got to look for that fine print. Not always fine print, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, there's another kind of message that I got that I feel like was a bit misleading. So there's a couple emails that I got that were about foreign filing deadlines. This is true, sort of, that if you want protection for your trademark in other countries, you can take advantage of some treaties that have been signed by most of the countries in the world, where you can kind of base your other trademark applications off the one you file first. So you file first in the United States, you could file trademarks in other countries based upon this one. You can tie them all together. But there's no such thing as an international trademark registration. All it is, it's like a logistical ease that you can kind of tie all these trademark applications together. You still got to pay the fees to all these different places. It can be incredibly expensive, okay? Thousands of dollars if you're doing all these much different places. And you still have to get the trademark in those different countries. It still has to go through and be evaluated, which in some places is easier than other places. And you need to get a lawyer in that country. So you don't want to do like every country in the world. Like big giant corporations do that. Maybe I don't actually know if any of them do all the countries that are in the treaty. But if you're a small business, it makes sense to get trademarks in other countries. If you're actually a significant portion of your business, it really makes sense to have that kind of investment because you have to pay fees in all those places. There's not one international trademark registration place. So in this email, it says, you know, congratulations, this has been filed. You get 6 months to file these other things. And then there's these people say that they're one of the largest trademark law firms in the world. Okay, so first, Legal Hoop is not a law firm. They're like one of these coordination services, filing services. They're not a law firm. So I think this is a misleading email at best. Also, there's no such thing as an international trademark. It's in the different countries. They kind of say that, but I feel like it's confusing that they're saying that. Also, they talk about, would it be great to have this in the new goods and services category for medical equipment? Like, what are you even talking about? Bizarre. You know, I have all these things. You could start your LLC corporation. So I actually went on this Legal Hoop website to see who are these people. They said they're the #1 search engine for trademarks in US, Canada, and China. Before today, I've never heard of them. So I'm thinking that they're not the #1 in the United States. They might be in another country. They might be the #1 in China. I have absolutely no idea. And what I realized when I started clicking around a lot and looking at About Us, who, you know, their facts, who are these, that really this is a company in China. Go find. So this law firm is really in China. And if you Google them, you can see they have an English website. Okay, so they might have physical offices in other places, but it's a company, it's a law firm in China. They may be great to hire if you want to trademark in China. And actually, if you want to trademark in China, you definitely need to work with somebody in China because getting trademarks in other countries, you need someone boots on the ground in that country who understands not just how their trademark office works, but the politics of getting a trademark approved. Because that's a whole thing that is very different than the United States. So if you're thinking about getting trademarks in other countries, you may want to do that. That may make sense for your business if you have the budget and it makes sense for the kind of future you want for your business. But I wouldn't recommend going with some random who sends you some spam mail. I also think this email is fairly misleading. But the reason I actually decided to make this video wasn't because of all this stuff. It was because of the scam email I got. And this email makes me crazy. So let's go ahead and look at this email. Okay, so this email first in the subject says, attention trademark infringement, immediate response require. Now, one thing in this email is English is not the first language of whoever wrote this, and which is obvious for anyone who is a native English speaker. Now, obviously, you could be a lawyer and not be a native English speaker. You could be a legitimate business, not be an native English speaker. Of course, of course. However, it does make me wonder if English is not your first language and you're sending emails to people in the United States, why didn't you have someone review it? So I'm suspicious about that, right? So let's dive into this email. Is it actually about trademark infringement? Hope this email finds you well. You're receiving this from the legal department of Trademark Paramount. Trademark Paramount, for those of you who don't remember, I did a video a while ago reviewing a bunch of trademark filing services. And Trademark Paramount was one that I said do not use because I think they're not legit. Interesting. Since we're a provider of design services, we are associated with different intellectual property organizations like the World Intellectual Property Association and the United States Patent and Trademark Office to keep us and our clients safe from intellectual right conflicts. Okay. No, they are not. They are not associated with the USPTO. The USPTO doesn't know who these people are. WIPO does not know who these people are. Like, that is so wrong to say that you're associated with it. It is intentionally misleading. Could be an English translation issue, but I don't think so. We share our records with USPTO. Okay. You do not share your records with USPTO. The USPTO doesn't care about your records. That is not even happening. That is not happening. No. Whenever there's an application filed with USPTO, which is similar to our database, our internal system generates a notification regarding trademark filing. Okay, that may or may not be true because you could totally get their database and sync it up. There is an application filed with the USPTO for the trademark registration of the name Elizabeth Potts Weinstein EPW Small Business from North Carolina. Okay, that's so weird. So let's check if that's true. Now, this email was sent to me on January 31st. So if that was true, it would be in the database. So I'm going to search Elizabeth Potts Weinstein. Let's go search for it to see if this is true. Search in, is this true? No, it is a lie. Let's search EPW Small Business. Is that true? No, it is a lie. So, and I don't know, North Carolina is totally random fact. Okay. If you're not using the name Elizabeth Potts Weinstein EPW Small Business in commerce and are not willing to register the trademark, so the other applicant will be honored as USPTO serves applicants on a first come serve basis. It's actually first come first serve is how it's said in English. But so that's actually an oversimplification of the rule. It is true that if you file first, there in some ways you get first dibs, but it's actually an oversimplification because if you use it in commerce first, before that you do have some rights. But we would appreciate if you can revert to us ASAP in case of no objection is raised from you, so the other applicant will be allowed to begin their registration following shared examination and filing procedures with the USPTO. Okay, what are they even talking about? Please acknowledge that Trademark Paramount will not be responsible if the other applicant successfully gets this trademark and a conflict arises between you and the other party's intellectual property rights. Okay, so let's just assume that they are working with this hypothetical person who's also named Elizabeth Potts Weinstein EPW Small Business Law and is using this. Let's assume that's true, even though I happen to know that I'm the only Elizabeth Potts Weinstein that comes up in Google search. But anyway, they would be violating so many ethical rules for telling me about it. That would be so wrong. It'd be wrong morally. It would be, if they are a lawyer, which they're not, but if they were a lawyer, it would be like against the ethical, they could be in trouble with their state bar. Bizarre. Bizarre, okay? No, not true. Then the kicker, they say, note, as per the Act of 1946, what? Section 1051 et sec. It is mandatory to register your mark to hold the ownership rights federally. When I read this is like the stuff that I don't even have Facebook anymore. Back when I was on Facebook, people would put all these crazy things that they were asserting their rights on Facebook and have a bunch of code sections from things that like literally were laws that didn't exist. Okay, there's no such thing as the Act of 1946. But let's put this in Google to see what comes up, to see what they're actually talking about. Now, the Lanham Act, which any lawyer or anyone who knows anything about trademark law would actually call it the Lanham Act because that's what it's called. The Lanham Act was passed in 1946 and 1051 is the code section. But like I'm just, you have no requirement to get a trademark. Like no one makes you get a trademark. You don't have to have a trademark. It's up to you. You get more rights if you have a trademark, but it's not like a mandatory. There's no such thing as mandatory trademarks. There's no mandatoriness here. This isn't like criminal law where it's mandatory. Okay, so first, any lawyer would never say the Act of 1946 because there were many acts, laws passed in 1946. Probably a whole lot because it was right after the war. This is just one of them. The Lanham Act is very important in trademark law, but it's just one of many things passed in 1946. Any lawyer would say the Lanham Act. Also, any lawyer, if they're citing the Lanham Act, doesn't say Section 1051. Like you'd say 15 USC 1051. Like, there's so many things wrong with this statement. It makes me crazy. It is the kind of thing that conspiracy theorists post on Facebook. It blows my mind. Okay, so let's get back into it. However, we are giving you the courtesy to choose if you want to trademark, or we should process the application for the other applicant. This email is BS, lies, conspiracy theory written, not true, terribleness. This stuff makes me crazy because so many people, either because they don't understand legal things, because they've never done this before, because they're nervous, because English isn't their first language and they are having trouble understanding things because they don't have connection with a lawyer. So many people get caught up in these things and end up sending hundreds or thousands of dollars to companies like this. I say companies loosely when it's a scam. And it is so wrong that these companies do this. Some of them are more sophisticated than this. This is completely terrible. But if you have fallen for any of these kind of things, don't feel bad because it is really hard. I understand these things as I'm a lawyer, but your average person isn't necessarily going to get it. If you're never done this stuff before, it is very easy to fall for these things. I know so many people. So here's my tip for you. If you get something like this, and this also happens with filing an LLC or corporation or DBA or a business license, you can get stuff like this too. Those typically come more via mail versus email, but because they don't usually have your email address public there. These you get more via email, but it might come in mail. If you get anything like this and you're not sure if it's real, join the Discord. The link is below. Post it in the Discord and I will tell you whether or not it's legit. Because this stuff makes me crazy. I would never charge someone for me to tell you if it's real, because I would love to be able to tell you which things are true or not. Generally speaking, emails from the trademark office are going to come from uspto.gov, either from an individual who works there, because sometimes the examiner will send you an email, or from the system that sends you an email, but it will be a uspto.gov. All the other things are randoms. And obviously you may decide to hire a lawyer who randomly sends you an email, and that's your business if you want to do that. But all these other random companies that have the word trademark in them, they're just random companies. So if you have a question about any of that stuff, obviously you can just ask a question below in the comments and I'll point you in the right direction. But if you want to share like a photo of something that you got and you want to show the scam that you saw, or ask whether or not it's legit, you can join the Discord and post that kind of stuff there. Again, this is attorney Elizabeth Potts-Weinstein. If you found this video helpful, hit the thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this. Below, I have links to the Discord and also to the Patreon if you want to get more help, either kind of publicly in the Discord, or if you want to connect with me privately, then you do that through the Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.